Hi there, this is Professor Warsi. I I taught you the difference between may and might. That was a very short lesson, and some of you responded to me very positively, and you said that the difference between may and might was very clear. But then I went over the lesson and I noticed that I had not given you enough examples. So I created an elaborated version of the lesson that you took previously. So we will explore how may and might are used for permission, requests, and probability. So let's begin. Today's objective is to learn the differences between may and might. And you have already done it. If you took the previous lesson, then you already know the difference. But this is going to further solidify your learning. We will also learn how to use them to ask for permission, make requests, and maybe, express some probability of something happening in the future. We will practice may and might, learning the differences between the two with examples and exercises and quizzes. So if you've been taking my lessons, then you already know that whenever we learn, we have plenty of examples to understand the lesson, and then we also do exercises. Okay? So why is it important to learn the difference between may and might? Because when you use may and might in speech or even in writing, it improves your understanding of these two verbs. Okay. So what are the key differences? Uh, let's start with that. The key differences between may and might are that may is more formal. I would say in business meetings, in college courses, in academic writing, people use may. Might is less formal. It's not as formal as may. And may is used when the likelihood of something happening is higher than might. When a person uses might, or they're expressing a lower probability of something happening, such as maybe the rain, like it might rain today. The person is not sure. When do we use may? In what verb tenses? We use it in present or future tenses. But might, notice the difference, is used in all three, past, present, and future tenses. Okay. Permission. So you say, may I borrow your pen, please? So may is commonly used for permission. Might, not so much. Might is not used for permission. I would say almost never. Sometimes people may use it, but it's not very common, right? So consider, may I borrow your pen, please? And saying, might I borrow your pen, please? It's just, the second one is a little awkward. Okay? We make requests for the same purpose, formal and informal situations. In terms of permission, your boss or your parents or somebody older than you may give you permission, like you may leave the room now, right? Okay, so these are the key differences. How do we use may? So what's the usage of may? For permission, right? Asking for permission, if you want to borrow somebody's pen or book, say, excuse me, may I borrow your book? So that is how we use may for permission. And somebody could give you permission, like you may leave early today. Let's say you work and your boss says, you may leave early today. It's okay, you can go. May I use the restroom? Again, you're asking somebody if you could use the restroom. You may start your exam now, and that is granting permission. And your teacher or professor may say, okay, you may start your exam now. All right? And we also use may to make a request. You can say, may I have a glass of water, please? When you go to a restaurant, for example, you ask the server, say, may I have a glass of water, please? Sure. May we join you for dinner? May I join you for dinner? Professor, may I ask you a question? maybe join you for lunch. Now remember, this is very formal because usually people say, can I ask you a question? Correct? And we're not going to get into that. It's awkward, but people do this all the time because can means ability, right? Like, can you swim? I can't swim, or I can swim. So try to use may when you make a polite request. May I ask you a question? All right. Another context in which we use may is for probability. So if you think there are clouds and you hear like thunder, you say it may rain later today. It's very possible. It's highly likely that it will rain. She may be at home now. Is higher. The probability of using may in this sense is it's higher. There's a higher probability that this person, she, Jane, is at home. She may come to the meeting later. That's also a possibility. Contrast that with might. The weather may improve in the afternoon. So it's a possible event. So the speaker is almost certain that the weather will improve. Okay? So now let's learn might. How is might different from may? When we use might, we suggest a lower likelihood of something happening compared to may. So rather than saying it may rain today, if somebody says to you it might rain later, they're not 100% sure, right? They're not absolutely sure that it will happen. It might rain later, but I doubt it. Right? He might come to the party if he finishes work on time. So this person's joining the party is dependent. It depends on whether she or he finishes work on time. So if this person finishes work on time, then they'll go to the party. But it's not as strong as he may come to the party. Correct? Past possibility. Now remember, it's interesting, and I think it's important for you to learn the difference between the two. May is almost never used for a past possibility. It's always might. So I might have forgotten my keys. So it indicates something that was possible but probably didn't happen in the past. She might have called while I was out. So let's say you were expecting somebody's call and you left the phone in the house and you left, and you're not sure if Jane or your friend called. So you say she might have called. I wasn't home. I had just stepped out and I left my phone. I didn't have the phone with me. She might have called. I might have missed the bus if I hadn't run. So it did happen. If you didn't run, you would not have caught the bus. She might have forgotten to call you. So notice something common in all of these four sentences. Might is followed by a past participle, have. She might have forgotten. I might have missed. So remember that. Okay, in a hypothetical situation or a scenario, hypothetical sentences usually begin with if. So might is used in hypothetical situations or to express caution, like warning somebody. Some examples are, if I had studied harder, I might have passed the exam. So this person failed the exam because they didn't study hard, right? But I know you work hard. You study very hard because you want to pass the exam, and you will pass the exam. You might have received a job offer if you had prepared an impressive resume, also called a CV, right? You might have received a job. So it looks like that this person did not get the job. The prospective employer did not offer this person a job, but probably because the CV was not impressive, the resume, so this person did not get the job. So it's common in suggestion or polite advice when you politely want to suggest that something may not happen. Now, they might have found somebody else, just to comfort the person who is upset about not receiving the job. Okay. Usage of may and might. Now compare the two. This is very interesting, right? It may rain later. It's likely. That's why the person is using may, because the likelihood of raining is high. It's higher than might. it might rain later. It's less likely. The person is not sure. The speaker is not sure if it will rain later, so they say it might rain later. You may leave early. Permission. Remember we studied this example before? Your boss saying you may leave early today. Okay? There's not much work to do, so you may leave. I might have left my keys at home. That's different from may, right? Might have left meaning it's a past possibility, but you're not sure. You can't find your keys and you're saying, oh, I might have left it or left them at home, left my keys at home. All right, so that is the difference between the usage of may and might. All right. Avoiding common errors. Notice the errors here. I may have missed your call. Now, may is more likely than might, right? So the correct sentence should be, I might have missed your call, because you're not sure. Using might for formal permission. Remember, it's going to sound very awkward, really weird if I say, might I speak to you? Or might I borrow your book? So the correct sentence or question in this case is, may I borrow your book? Or may I speak to you for a second? So may is more commonly used in a context like this. All right, so when do we choose, or how do we choose may or might? So if you're not sure if you should say may or might, consider these following points. Formality. When you are in a formal context, like if you are talking to your best friend, you probably won't say, may I speak to you? Say, hey, can I speak to you? But if you are in a formal context, if you're speaking to your professor, for example, use may rather than can, or might. Might is going to be really awkward. Use may for a higher probability and might for lower probability. And remember, the difference between may and might is may is usually not used for a past possibility. You always say might. She might have called, when I left my house. You're not sure. So might is used for past possibility. It's important for you to remember that. Okay. So let's do this exercise. If you've been taking my lessons, then you're probably used to doing exercises and quizzes. So fill in the blanks with may and might. There are 9 sentences, and have fun doing this exercise. I'll wait for you to complete the exercise before showing you the answers. So pause the video now, and then let's go over the answers together. All right, so I've given you the answers, and I've also shown you the context. Like might is for probability. It might rain tomorrow, so take an umbrella. And the speaker is not sure. The probability is not as high as in number 2. You may leave the room when the bell rings. So that's someone giving you permission to leave the room. Okay? I hope you did well. All right. Let's do another exercise a little bit different from the previous one. Correct the sentences. You might leave early today. Does that sound good? Does it sound like the sentence is used correctly? So correct all of these sentences, and we'll go over the answers maybe. Here they are. You might leave early today. Might is not used for permission, remember? May is used for permission. So as a somebody, maybe your friend, so you might leave early today. Now that's awkward. It should be you may leave early today. All right? Okay, so just review the answers and see how you answered them. And I hope that you got all of them correct. Let's take a mini quiz. There are 3 questions, multiple choice questions. Choose for each question, choose either 1 or 2 or 3. These are the answers to the quiz. Number 1 is B, number 2 is B, number 3 is B also. Now, if you are uncertain, if you're not sure why number one is B or why two is B or why three is B, feel free to ask questions. Okay, write your questions in the comment box, and I'll read them and I'll get back to you. All right? Okay. Here's one last quiz, and then we will finish this lesson today. So there are 6 statements. Your job is to write it's possible, it's true, or it's not possible. That's false. That's not a true statement. All right. Ready for the answers? Here they are. Okay, compare the answers. And see if you got all of them correct, all 6 of them. And if you made an error here and there, it's quite all right. It's fine. So we have come to the end of the lesson. Let's summarize one more time. May is formal, as we learned, like may I speak to you? May I borrow your book? Is formal, and it also indicates a higher probability. Might is less formal, right? And when a person is not sure, now they're not sure 100%, they will use might because the probability is lower. And so we also practiced using may and might in permission, requests, and probability scenarios. All right, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Keep working hard. Keep taking my lessons. There are more coming up, so stay tuned. All right, take care.